Welcome to the EPA Partnership Program, and this is a wonderful, most important lesson dedicated to pressure management. This trait alone, when very low, has the power to affect and create a ripple effect on the entire test. Let's dive in. So pressure management is the wording tells us that it is the ability of the person to manage pressure in their life. This pressure is caused by the presence of toxic people in their life. So the trait and the responses of your client to the questions that measure this trait measures the person's environment and provides information about the presence of conflicts or situations of disharmony with people in their life, at home, at work. These toxic situations can affect, obviously, productivity and motivation of the person. Therefore, it measures whether there are people in the person's environment who cause them concern, or with whom they have arguments, conflicts, or who somehow hinder their goals. A score below 20 means that the person has people around them whom they cannot influence, but who influence them negatively. So the first trait that you look at on your client's test when you start interpreting it is pressure management. If this trait is low, it will have a ripple effect on all the other traits. So the motivating communication has certain characteristics, which we will go through now, and it tends to have a negative influence on who receives this communication. In the long run, because people want to belong and want to be accepted, and we have a need to live in cognitive resonance with our environment, we start picking up this demotivating communication styles and we start using them ourselves, giving life to a chain reaction simulation like you see on the top left corner of the slide, okay? So it is very dangerous because if I don't start addressing, neutralizing this toxic relationship, somehow at some level, I know for sure I will also start acting in a demotivating way at times. Let's have a look at what the 5 characteristics of a toxic communication are like. Before we dive into these 5 characteristics, I need to make something very clear, and we will also dive into this concept in the Q&A because it is so important for you to take this home. First of all, there are no good people and there are no bad people. Our clients' people environment may have toxic people in it, but these toxic people are not bad. So we remove ourselves from a dual mentality, good, bad, right, wrong. We move towards a understanding mentality, trying to understand this is the best that these toxic people can do with the emotional, mental resources they have at their disposal in this moment in their life. So, and never, if you have a client who has a low pressure management score and you need to walk him through this entire protocol that we will go through right now in this lesson, never, ever, you must antagonize, or better yet, create labels in their mind that the toxic people in their life are bad. They are just people who are doing the best with the resources they've got and are probably living in fear, and they're fear-based or anger-based, and they have never really worked on this stuff to resolve it, so they dump it onto our clients. Our job is to see this, help them see this, and help them out of it. That's it. Behaviorally and communicationally speaking. Okay, let's move on to the 5 characteristics that a toxic person has. Often they have them all. Sometimes they will have maybe 3 out of 5. So the first characteristic is they generalize the negative. Everyone does that. Nobody helps me. Nobody loves me. Everybody is against me. All customers complain about our product. You always do this to hurt me. So they generalize and they communicate using generalizations. Second characteristics, they communicate negative news more than anything else. In many occasions, only negative news. So they will be addicted to news and gossip, and they will be addicted to information that is sad and talks about death and illness and accidents and unemployment and poverty and disease. Or they will talk about what is happening in the community to other people in the community, but only the bad things that are happening to the people in the community. They will never share, oh, today I saw this person and we had such a great conversation. Their communication is exaggeratedly negative. Third characteristics. When they share information, so they report something back to you, they will filter out all the positive details. If you go to a restaurant, you're with your toxic people and you go to a restaurant and there's a bit of confusion with the reservations. So there is a delay. They excuse themselves and they say, look, please, we'll just offer you a drink. It's on us. Go at the bar, get a drink, and we'll get your table ready in about 15, 20 minutes. We are so sorry. It happens sometimes, right? Okay. So you're with people you love. You're having a good time. Who cares about the 20-minute delay? You're having a drink on the house and you're enjoying yourself. The food's good. The service good. The experience is good. From that moment onwards, every time this dinner will come up in conversation, the toxic person will only and solely report the 20-minute delay and how irresponsible, inefficient, unprofessional it was. And it will not talk about all the other amazing things that happened that evening. So that's what this third characteristic comes up in this way. We have to be careful because sometimes when we have team members who are toxic, who have a toxic communication, they will report back to their manager, but they will filter out a bunch of information. And so if the managers doesn't see this, they get totally manipulated by the toxic employee. Moving on to the fourth characteristic. So they rarely question themselves or their ways, though they may intellectually say, oh yes, of course. No, of course, I have to look at it. And of course, if you say that, maybe it's really happening. They might say it verbally, but then the behavior remains unchanged because deeply they are not questioning their ways. They're not questioning the way they exist, the way they communicate. They're always right. The problem tends to be always perceived as outside of them. It is them. It is you. It is never me. Okay. This is a trait also very much present in narcissistic behavior. Narcissists can be toxic people, but toxic people can also simply be toxic because they have one or more of these characteristics without being narcissists. The fifth characteristic, the last one, is that people around them will have strong ups and downs, and rarely will they feel serene and at peace. There's a constant sort of anxiety or agitation, a sense of unworthiness, a sense of, no, I won't be able to do that. So low self-esteem, low self-motivation. Typically, when the pressure management trait is low in the test, the self-motivation trait will be a little bit compromised. Because if your client has been in contact with toxic people for a long time, it will be hard for them to really believe in themselves, their ideas, their resources, their potential. And this is the drastic consequence of having toxic people around in our lives. And the consequence is the roller coaster syndrome, as we call it in the EPA world, where the person has moments, maybe when they have no contact with their toxic people, they have moments of serenity and productivity and concentration, and they move towards their desired goal. They have a faint sense of, yeah, I can do this. This would be so great. Like, I really want to do this. And then they will drop into a valley of tears and agitation and anxiety and nervousness and irritability and lack of focus, lack of vision, lack of self-motivation. Okay, so when we see a person with a low pressure management score, from experience, you can be certain that this is the way they live their daily life. Up, down, and it takes so much energy for them to move uphill, enjoy the up, and it's one phone call, one message, one conversation, and they drop back down. Okay, and this is how they live their life. It is exhausting, and when we see it, we help them see it, and then we help them understand the importance of not having such big gaps between moments of serenity and certainty and moments of agitation and anxiety. So this trait indicates the quality of the person's human environment, the people around them who they can or cannot influence, and who causes them distress. It indicates whether they are managing these people or suffering from these relationships. The trait will show you that, yes, I have these people in my life, but, I manage them. I have implemented, maybe naturally and spontaneously, a good management protocol. So I'm not influenced by them. Okay, and that's fine. But if the trait is low, it means I do take home and take to heart this heaviness that is thrown at me, and as a result, we must help them. The trait also indicates the presence of emotional and motivational ups and downs. A low score indicates their days are like roller coaster rides, and they are exhausting. Believe me, I have been doing this for so long. I've seen so many people with so many different pressure management scores, and life lived on an emotional roller coaster is exhausting. Productivity lowers, and it is hard to stay motivated. It is hard to stay disciplined. It is hard to stay determined. It is hard to carry on negotiations and good sales. Everything is compromised. This is the first thing I told you, but I will repeat it again. When this trait is low, it negatively influences all other traits on the test. During a low emotional phase, so when I am down in my low point, the low traits are all amplified, and it reduces the positive effect of the high traits. During the emotional high, the highs and lows improve, but it is inconsistent and not constant. So productivity and results will also be inconsistent and not constant.